Joining us live in the studios now is the spokesman for Afenifere, Yinka Odumakin. Good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
I'm sure you too must have seen this letter and gone through it.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Well, I want to look at the letter. There are two aspects to this. First is the message, and second is the messenger. In terms of message, I think having read through the letter, I think that it's important that the presidency makes a response, because there are weighty allegations in this letter. For instance, the question of the president of Nigeria being accused of training a killer squad. It's a very serious allegation in democracy that the presidency should react to and allay the fears of Nigerians. Well, the question of corruption, many Nigerians have been talking about the level of corruption. There are officials of government who have been accused of serious corruption that we expect the president to act on. There should be examples should be made. And of course, there are a whole lot of other issues that are important to be addressed in this letter. But looking at the messenger.
Just before you go to the messenger, let's quickly take a look at the medium, because a host of people are also questioning why this letter had to be leaked. You know, was it important that you and I know the content of a letter that was sent to the president by a former president?
Well, this is a coup manifesto. And you know, there is what they call coup baiting. And because when you look at the closing paragraph of the letter, Obasanjo was saying that, oh, let me copy Babangida, let me copy Absalami, let me copy Danjuma. When you look at this group, this is a class of 1966. It's a crowd of officers who have participated in every coup in Nigeria since 1966. And they have become kind of, because I was reading recently the book of Mark Sealing, because in 1983, let's not forget, at every 10 years Obasanjo only come this way. In 1983, he was so vocal against Shagari regime, which he installed in 1979, when he said that the best president candidate may not win. Now, 4 years after, he was against the government. And in this book, Babangida actually confessed that as at the time Obasanjo was making those criticisms, a coup was in the offing. This was on the page 14 of Soldiers of Fortune. This is what he was called. Babangida was asked this question. It was also said that those of you who ousted Shagari actually wanted to bring back General Obasanjo as head of state in 1984. Is this true? Here's Babangida's answer. It is true. But to verify to General Obasanjo, he rejected the offer. He said no. He said it would destroy his integrity, that he handed over to Shagari, and that it's not right for him to get involved. But he, Obasanjo, said he was not stopping us from going ahead with the coup. So, this, when you read through the letter, you can see clearly that we have a coup manifesto in our hands, and when the Obasanjo comes out this way, he doesn't come out for the fun of it. So that's why I say that we must address the content. The presidency must respond to the allegations, but they must examine carefully Obasanjo's motive in writing this letter. Obasanjo does nothing in the interest of the nation but for his own interest. Because I can tell you this: in 2011, short a few days before the elections, General Obasanjo was reaching out to General Muhammadu Buhari that was going to back him for presidency. He was going to dump Obasanjo when his daughter could not get the PDP ticket, senatorial ticket in Ogun State. But the moment they changed their party, whatever, Yabo's faction got the PDP back in Ogun State, he came back to Jonathan. So when it does, and I'm not surprised that by this yesterday morning he was already having breakfast with Jonathan in Kenya. So Obasanjo does nothing without his personal, without an agenda. He cannot be acting in the interest of the nation in this.
Okay, let's look at some of the issues talked about in that letter. Now, some of them have been described as grievous, and if not looked into, there's going to be chaos, so to speak, in the country. Now, do you think, what do you think is the problem with the letter? Is it the timing, or the content, or the person that wrote the letter?
Well, for me, really, like I said, we need to hear the presidency of some of the contents of the letter, in terms of, because there are very grievous allegations that have been raised, and Nigeria is in danger if the allegations are true. So we need to answer. But in terms of the person that is authoring this letter, Like I said, we've always had this from him. And I talk about 83. In 93, Obasanjo came on the scene as if he was part of the production movement after the June 12 annulment. But to pose another agenda, was the author of the interim government. He actually wanted to head that interim government. And the reason why he fell out with them was that he was not made to head that interim government. Then he came under Babangida. When he started this kind of criticism, there was Babangida to change all the service chiefs. Then he came with a Yar'Adua. He was already becoming critical of Yar'Adua when he was not having his way. So, but by and large, I think that in terms of the content, that's what the allegations, we must look at them critically. But I saw also an attempt by Obasanjo to launder his image when he talks about, oh, policies for me come with principles and morality. And we say, this same Obasanjo, who governed this country for 8 years, and we have his record. And I think time has come that Nigerians must have a book of remembrance to know what happened. Because for every finger Obasanjo pointed at Jonathan, 4 were pointing back at him. Let's talk about the question of you want to do a second term. That, oh, you have told me that you never told anybody that I want to do a second term, but this and this and this. Up to today, Obasanjo still maintains that he never told anybody that I wanted to do a third term. But we knew how money was being distributed, billions of naira, money being distributed in the National Assembly for his third term agenda to violate the Constitution of Nigeria. He talked about one felon that he said that Jonathan is promoting. This same felon was the man Obasanjo was using against me Daniel in Ogun State. He didn't know that was a felon that time. But now that he's not having his way, he's a felon. And we've not forgotten so soon how this Obasanjo was promoting Adedubu Nibadan as garrison commander of Southwest Politics in this country. For you now to be posting as a saint before us, he talk about corruption. And I'd agree with him that Jonathan is not doing enough for corruption. Because if Jonathan is fighting corruption, Obasanjo should not be talking about corruption today. Obasanjo should be cooling his feet somewhere. And he was talking about corruption, you are copying Babangida. The same Babangida government. We remember in 1992, how Obasanjo was saying that, oh, the government is deficit, is a government of settlement, a government by corruption, and this and the rest. Today's the same question you are copying. And for 8 years, Obasanjo was president of this country. He was the Minister of Petroleum. We never knew what happened in NNPC. And for a man who in 1999 came out of prison and was going to his bank to ask for 100,000 naira overdraft, 8 years after, we saw the hilltop mansion in Abeokuta. All the hotels, all the schools, all the investments. Can he tell us how he came by all those assets within 8 years as president of Nigeria? So we are in a serious crisis in this country when an Obasanjo becomes the conscience of the nation. Like I said, we must not sweep away the allegations, but the motive of Obasanjo is suspect, and Nigerians will be very wary of this man.
Well, as we go into this, trying to look at all of this content here in the letter, I think you just reminded us of the issue concerning NNPC, which is still very much in the news.
Yeah.
But again, if you look at it critically, does that stop anyone from actually looking at his era or his regime while he actually was the president? Because he also dealt with, as you put it, just reminded us as the Minister for Petroleum in that time.
In fact, in actual fact, not only there was double as petroleum minister, we remember all the PTDF accounts, all the revelation by his own vice president Atiku, and the same Atiku now is saying that where Obasanjo allegation should look at. The same Atiku was telling us how Obasanjo was using PTDF accounts as a slush fund. I was authoring cars to be bought for his girlfriends, money to pay, all kind of things. Because so the question, and now himself and Uba is SA domestic affairs. All they was alleged to have been doing with NNPC. So it's a case of a cattle calling pot black.
You see, sorry, Mark, but because I'm also trying to go back to where Mark was started from, because if we're trying to see the intention of this particular letter, and truly the last and closing paragraph, he talked about sharing this same communication with Abdul Salami, with Babangida, and he went further to say the limit of sharing of these contents may be extended as time goes on. Meaning, well, we can actually get more copies coming from him to every other Nigerian he deems fit. Don't you think he's doing this perhaps because he's not been listened to, since he had the privilege of speaking with the president one-on-one? The president hasn't actually taken or heeded any of his advice.
Well, like I said, you know, Obasanjo does not act in the void, and these actions are not predicated on ulterior motives. I always predicated on ulterior motives.
He always predicated on ulterior motives.
He always has ulterior motives. But like Babangida admitted in this book, that these soldiers, they always try to catch in, the opportunists who always want to catch in on public mood to hatch their agenda. All the people he say he want to copy here, I don't want to believe that they did not discuss it later together before it was written. I don't want to believe that.